Coming at you from Scratch and Wolf Studio. It's that time again to rage across the internet. Your very favorite Werewolf the Apocalypse podcast. As always, I'm your host, Porter. To my left, hardest working man in the studio, Mr. Daniel Tyson.
Hey, everybody.
And across from me, inventor of the edible sandal, Mr. Thomas Dixon.
Edible sandal?
Your hacky sack feet are a snacky snack treat. How we doing, guys?
What? I was going to say, why are you asking the question? You made it up. And yet, he knew you were going to say that.
I know, he had that ready. What the fuck?
Locked and loaded.
Oh, that was good.
Yeah, I'm not going to steal credit for that. It was a little syphilin alley for you. But yes.
But I don't care, that was good. Wow.
How we doing, gentlemen?
Oh, better now.
Told you I didn't want to lose that intro. I had that ready.
Much better now.
These egg
Delicious. Flavors though, feet come in.
Oh, I'm not going further with that.
Say you're at a concert. Say you get the munchies. Imagine that.
There's some implications there.
You've never been to a concert?
Yeah, I've been to concerts.
The worst one I went to was a Stones one, so for the munchies.
Nice. Respect.
Contact high instantly.
Couldn't see half the stage, dude.
Dude, they played here a couple months ago. I was going to get tickets, but they wanted a fucking cosigner and a kidney.
They need to live. I'm surprised they weren't asking for blood boys.
A cosign and a kidney.
He's not wrong.
Right?
Anyway.
Another great day here. A lively day at Scratch and Wolf
absolutely.
Studio.
Fucking love recording day. Oh.
Yeah, I love when my face hurts because I'm laughing too much.
And we hope you guys are too.
That's what we do.
That's right.
We entertain. At least we hope so.
Yeah, well,
Well,
let's get on to
each other.
business for a minute.
Yeah, we do. We
Just for a minute?
Just for a minute.
yeah, make a meal out of it, but we gotta talk some shit.
Yeah, we do.
I guess first things first, we're so grateful to you guys for listening and for your support. You know,
Thank you very much.
Absolutely. And if you are not supporting us, there's a couple ways you could do that. That would be fantastic. First is our Ko-fi page, ko-fi.com. Links in the show notes.
Always in the show notes.
Front page of the website. We have decided, I know we said it last week, we'll say it again, and then probably not have to anymore.
Right.
Hopefully, but
We have brought the Guilty Bundle back. Not a Christmas discount, but still a discounted price. So, interest in that, you win. It's back in the store.
well, not our store, but it's there. It's under Ko-fi.
Yeah, it's at the Ko-fi store. We have our own store from the website, which is where we sell all sorts of weird shit with our logo on it.
Yep, it doesn't matter what it is. It's
Hoodies,
weird.
t-shirts, sneakers.
And you want something weird, just let us know. We'll see if they have the product.
There's going to be there's baby stuff.
Yeah.
You want to rage across the baby?
Rage across. I was gonna say onesie.
Rage across the onesie.
Rage across the diaper.
We don't have diapers.
I don't think that's a thing yet.
We can do stuff. There's there's
Rage
stuff you
across
want.
Binky.
Hey, there's we got the dog tags.
That's true.
Yeah, the dog bandana.
Yep.
That
So-
exists in the world.
Yeah.
I know one for sure.
I at some point really want to do the shower curtain.
There's a shower.
Oh, it's not on the store, but we can
That's
make.
why
we
I
can
don't
do
know
it.
about it.
Yeah, we can do
my
it.
God.
Wow.
There's the pillowcases and the blanket, so you could
Whole comforter set.
get rid of the Ninja Turtle set, put on the
No,
IRI set.
no. That's not gonna happen.
You got to wash them, Danny.
You're right, and I'll just wait for them to be cleaned and dried, and I'll put them back on.
You heard it first. Danny sleeps with a Ninja Turtle bedsheet.
He's got a Ninja Turtle onesie, dude.
I used to.
I'm not certain, but I would not be surprised if this man was wearing Ninja Turtle underoos right now.
He's thinking about
I'm
it.
not commenting.
That confirmed. Confirmed for underoos.
There is no comment.
Daniel underoos
I have
Tyson.
no comment at this time.
Daniel underoos. Now I want Dunkaroos. Hashtag not sponsored.
We don't sell food. I wouldn't
No.
eat anything.
No, why would you put our logo on food?
I,
What a waste.
But guys, you can still get a 10% off code on our Discord
Yes.
for your one-time purchase.
That's correct. I mean, that's actually not a great way to support us, but it's fun, you know?
Yeah, I mean, if you see something niche on that store that you want to get and you want 10% off, well, just make sure you're in the Discord and you get the code.
That's true. The Ko-Fi, that's a great way.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah. We got the tiers, you know, you can, the hangout nights, the game team, the postmortems on the monthly, the NPC of the month for the different tiers. That's a great way to help. And again, if you don't want to spend the money,
understandable.
Yeah, look, times we get it. We understand. Work hard for your money. That's important. Times are tough, but you can still help us out.
Tell people.
Yes, tell people. Reviews, 5 stars, 4 stars, whatever the max is. Get the word out. You know somebody that you want to introduce to this game, or you know somebody that likes this game, or that wants to dip into storytelling, or learn more about character work, or whatever. Bring them. Go to our website, get the code for that Discord, come and hang out in the Discord. We're there. Like, you can interact with us.
We're at least one of us is there daily.
Pretty much. It's
plus all of our cool friends and awesome community. You all help build with us.
It's a fantastic community.
It's always some fun discussions going on.
Yes, whether it's werewolf related or just random chickassery.
A lot of it's werewolf related, though.
A lot of it is.
It's a lot of speculation, and it's awesome to see and hear and put our own input on, and it's a good time.
We're very lucky to have that kind of community. And so a shout out to our Discord community. You guys kick ass.
Keep it up.
Yep.
And we'll probably see you later on.
Yeah, probably.
Or we're talking to you right now.
We'll see you later on Dead by Daylight.
Or that too.
That too.
Love that game team. But yeah, all that. And don't forget, we do have the website, we do have the forums, and there's some really cool storyteller resources on those forums.
I always forget about that, but yes, there is. It's crazy.
It often, people don't do a lot of forums anymore, and I know that. But there's stuff there. Old Nocturnus articles, some really neat character essays, ideas. We have members of our community who put up book reviews and stuff. It's just a great thing to check out. It's a great place to be. And again, that's where our Discord link comes from.
Mm-hmm.
It's where you can get it. It's the only place you can get it. Allegedly.
Allegedly.
That's the idea.
Well, that was the purpose. So.
But you can find that at rageacrosstheinternet.com.
.com. Got creepier.
It did.
You're right.
Yes, anyway, moving on. We have, I hope it's interesting. I guess I'm not in charge of that. I'd like to think, but...
It's not specifically a suggestion, but another suggestion to the point where we took that and kind of brainstormed off of it to become what today's episode is going to be.
Which is?
Well, today we are talking the Metis Child.
Specifically the book game out of Rage Across the Heavens.
Well, we're talking the Metis Child.
Where our inspiration is coming from, then.
Well, that's where the character came from. And so there you go. Rage Across the Heavens brought us both Anthelios and the Metis Child.
The perfect Metis.
I dub him the Chosen One.
You've dubbed him the Chosen One?
The Chosen One.
What the fuck?
Well...
Chosen by who?
There's allegedly truth to that. I had to pull a quote.
Ooh.
In the armies of destruction march forth, led by the child that should not be, and bearing the sign of the eye of the devourer upon its brow. Against that child nothing could prevail. The heavens shuddered once in sorrow and despair. Then all was still. In the silence which followed I heard a voice saying, "This is what may come to pass, yet all is not unchanging. Seek, therefore, the child, that you may prevent the end of all things."
That's so ominous, and is that good? Is that bad? I don't know.
Well, and that's
from what I just heard there, that's bad. And you don't want that to happen. It'd be end times.
Oh, no, that's my point in saying ominous, because it's very much end times there. Is it saving, preventing, creating?
Well, that's all we're going to talk about on that shit.
Exactly.
Rage Heavens introduced both Anthelios and the Red Star, and the Metis Child. And to be clear, so there's no confusion here, this is both it's the child of two Metis, and is allegedly a perfect Metis offspring. So that's 3 Metis, the 3 Bs. And Metis...
How does that become the 3B?
It's the 3 Bs, shut up.
Metis?
This Metis is apparently perfect. It has no outward flaws to speak of.
Make sure that part's clear, though.
Yeah.
To speak of. No one can see anything. Maybe he's got some... maybe
Mental,
some
spiritual, anything else.
disability.
But
no
we are...
physical flaws.
Yeah.
Maybe
we are
it's a
told
mental disability.
and led to believe this is the perfect Metis.
Well, we got to kind of break that down a little bit, because a Metis is flawed. That was the purpose of the Metis. They're sterile. There is something physically and or mentally wrong with them. The offspring of Garu.
Garu shall not mate with Garu. I mean, that's what a Metis is.
Yeah.
This coincided with the appearance of Anthelios. This was a mark of the end times. And this is what we're talking here, is where we're...
So to be clear, it's happening at the same time that someone has seen this red star starting to appear.
Yes, it coincides with the appearance of Anthelios. You know, and that's a good chunk of Rage Across the Heavens.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've talked about this book before and how, you know, our feelings on it from an information gathering standpoint. But that's not the whole book. You know, it talks about Garu astrology, which I never is when we're doing that episode. Never.
I'm not a fan of astrology already.
See, I'm not either. It's like I don't want to learn ours to learn the Garu one to know that I don't care.
There are some who might be interested in it. And
you know, that's
sorry.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's cool that you are, and I appreciate that they went to the trouble of doing it. But
don't expect us to do it.
I'm
so
sorry.
Apologies.
Not going to be a show. You watch next season, we're going to be so hard up for fucking ideas. We're going to do a 3-parter on it.
Oh my god, don't do that.
I'd do it.
Ugh.
Oh, don't say that.
Space.
No.
I'll see if I can get him to do it.
Yeah,
I know what you're doing. That's why I said no.
I know you thought about it.
I thought about it. Now that I think about it, I thought about doing it wrong.
On purpose.
Yeah.
That would be a...
It would have been more fun.
But there is, in Rage Heavens,
Mm-hmm.
the book game, the scenario, which we've spoken before. You know, book games are not my favorite thing. But I make an exception for this one.
It's not bad. This one's...
It's so loosely written.
And that's why it gets the pass for me. Normally, book games are super fucking rigid.
It tells you exactly what you should and shouldn't do.
It's
Right.
very linear.
Yeah.
There's no, you can't go outside the box. It's just you go this path, and I don't care what you say, you're going this path.
Right, do what we tell you. This is, and maybe there's a couple options here and there, but largely, yeah. The book games in the past, they always feel very rigid. I'm all for farming ideas out of them, but this one, the looseness of it.
Yeah, this one's not rigid. This one's not linear. This gives you plenty of options from the beginning.
They even state it, like, we're leaving this open for STs to do what they want with.
Which is good because it's such a big concept. This impossible baby.
Right.
And the implication it has for the future of the nation.
Yes, we can use the word implication there, because not only is it a Metis itself, it's also the offspring of 2 Metis parents.
Right.
Which
So
is
again,
impossible.
it's the 3 Bs. This should not be able to happen.
I'll think of one. Just keep going.
It's better. No, I put it in my notes.
Oh,
Did you really?
Come on.
Yeah. It's better if you don't put a hat on it. So everyone else goes, there's no bees in there at all. It's the beauties if you don't put a hat on it. Just let it slide on by.
All right, fine.
I put fucking around. The thing is, you know, with the Metis Child, there's this division here. What does it mean? This is a creature, and I'm going to use the word creature because even the gender of the Metis Child isn't set in stone anywhere.
No, it's up to the storyteller.
Right. It could be Gaia's savior or Gaia's downfall. Or anything in between. But it means something.
I like having that option to go either direction. Because once one thing is picked, if you run this game again with a different group, it could be a totally different story.
Absolutely.
No matter what.
Depending on how that group plays it out.
I'm just saying, I don't think 2 groups are going to play the exact same situation every single time.
Oh, probably not.
No, and that's exciting right there by itself. The idea of coming into contact with this child, whether players were parents, or by random happenstance, or a contact of a friend of trusted that's packed with it, or whatever.
Well, yeah, it gives you the option. One of your players could be a menace, and they could have been the parent. Or you're just a pack who just happens to be passing through, and there's a battle, and someone's protecting this child. This baby, essentially.
Yes.
And then you learn all this as you go, and that's nuts.
Well, and then that's the thing. I mean, obviously, when you look through the scenario, and I mean, we're not here to run necessarily.
Yeah, we're not running the game, but
right.
We can speculate.
Well, if that's the point of the episode, they should listen to the podcast.
Yes, I know.
You know, the idea that you have your different factions that have their own agendas and their ideas in terms of this Metis Child. I love the idea that you have a hive out there who believes that it's the savior, that it's the worm's chosen being, and will ally themselves with your players to protect it.
Yeah, I very much see it as...
Just to convert it.
Oh, certainly that's their plan.
Possibly, yeah. I see it as half the nation wants to kill, half the nation wants to save. And then you look at the worm's forces, and you have the spirals, and half them want to save, and half them want to kill. You have essentially 4 factions and 4 possibilities of what can happen to this child.
Well, and the 5th coming out of Pentex, you want to experiment on it.
Didn't even think about it that way. Absolutely. So we're just Garu in general, you have 4. And then you have other possibilities and groups that who knows what they want.
Right. And I mean, and then there are factions, you know, obviously this isn't a well-known, in the confines of the game that is presented.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the scenario, there are not a whole lot of people know about this, but there are the factions, and you're right, it's divided up just like that. There are the guy in Garu who think this thing's of the worm and we need to kill it with fire and do it now. And the ones that think, no, we need to raise this right so it can lead the guy in Garu to victory. And same way with the worm.
Yeah, it's back and forth, both sides. And, you know, they give options on the players what they want to do, but I like how one of the first possibilities they give you was like, have these dreams. Have them have a reason why they're going to protect and or try to kill this child.
Well, privacy and vision, yeah, those are definitely themes that are all over Rage Heavens. And it leads itself to this material, absolutely. My thought here, first and foremost, is where do you guys land on the Metis Child issue?
Well,
I mean, you know, ideally, because there's no real answer here.
Right off the bat, it's so difficult to even start that because it's a Metis, one, and it's the birth of 2 Metis parents.
Other way around.
We know what he meant.
Both parents are Metis.
Yes.
The child is Metis. This already shouldn't even be a possibility.
Yes.
And it is. And there's the implication just starting off. How is this possible? How did this child even happen to be birthed? How was this not killed off and just thought of like...
Because his pull-out game wasn't strong enough.
I was going to say, when a man loves a woman... I mean, he doesn't have to love her.
When a Garu loves another Garu... When a mommy Garu and a daddy... Now, see, not even that
This is the birds and the beads here, folks.
Beads?
The birds, the bees, and the Metis?
So
There's
the
your
question,
3 bees.
Birds, the bees, and the beast.
Oh, that actually works.
Worked before. It was better when there were no bees involved. But again, the question is, where do you guys land on it?
The question going, it's so difficult to even start that for me because of the absolute impossibility of it being the thing. One, we know that the Metis are born a little quicker than like a normal human child or even a wolf child. So what's likely 3 months, something like that? It's not the 9 months that a normal human child would be born. So who knows how long that would take because, again, both parents are Metis. How are those parents not just like hunted from the start, knowing that the one is about to give birth?
Oh, okay, but that's not the question. Gaian or worm?
Which am I picking?
Yes, that's the question.
It would take some serious convincing, but I would go Gaian.
What do you mean by Gaian?
As far as saving the child, protecting the child. But again, it would take some serious convincing me to do this.
I would go either way. It depends on how the story's laid out in front of me.
I'm saying, gun to your head, in your mind.
Mm-hmm.
Kill it. Gun to my head. Kill it.
You think you think the Metis Child is of the worm?
Yep.
And you're saying Gaia.
Because it's come on, it should not be. So you're already spitting on Gaia's face.
Yeah, instantly, I'm thinking like this thing needs to go now. It shouldn't even be. It shouldn't be here. It shouldn't have gotten here in the first place. It needs to die.
I don't see how this thing could save Gaia.
Yeah, it's an absolute spit in the face. But if the game were to be run out and played through, for me to be able to be this thing's protector,
mm-hmm.
it would take some serious convincing by some serious, notable characters.
Okay.
I don't see it any other way.
You'd have to be convinced.
Oh, absolutely convinced.
No, that's fair. I mean, look, it's a starting point right there. And I definitely see where you guys are coming from, and I don't necessarily disagree, but then that's the beauty of the Metis Child, is it can go in any direction.
Mm-hmm.
I, in previous renditions of a game, have gone with the idea of nurture over nature.
Okay.
The idea of where does that cub end up, and it could go either way depending on how it's raised.
And who?
Exactly. I have in the past done like a lone wolf and cub thing, where one of my NPCs, Rowan Bloodtears, was the sole custodian of the Metis Child.
I'm willing to bet he had to take some serious convincing to be that too.
Well, it was all behind the scenes.
Right.
And it was a different era in, my storytelling game.
Mm-hmm.
So, I couldn't give you the information surrounding that. I just wanted to do a lone wolf and cub thing with them.
That's fair.
So you had, Rowan Bloodtears, the Ahrangeta Fenris, traveling the countryside on the run with this baby Krynos in his backpack.
Jumper.
Yeah. Little baby Bjorn.
So, try to convince us right now.
But I don't know that I need to.
Well, I think so, because just judging off of that first sentence you give me right there, first paragraph you give me of the intro of that, leading the armies, hey, that's a vision. Leading
Certainly.
an army like that. Nah, we don't need that kind of headache. Get rid of it.
And get rid of it is a valid answer, but is brought up in the bit that I did read. You could change that.
But why even chance it?
Because maybe that child was born through Gaia's will. Maybe that child is the one with the power, in quotes, because what the fuck does that mean?
It's what I'm trying to get at. Convince me that this thing can change what's going to happen.
Yeah, maybe this is the prophesized child that will turn the tide.
It goes, what makes this baby different than another Garu?
Because it's impossible.
I get that it's impossible. What makes it different? Just because it's impossible doesn't mean it's going to be our savior.
Certainly, but it has to mean something. Gaia allowed this to happen.
Or did she?
Life in the Garu Nation, you accept Gaia is supreme at that point. So theoretically, and shaky ground here, because you talk about the religion and how it, in the terms of werewolf, where Gaia isn't you worship Gaia.
Yeah, I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm trying to
weave around it. Yeah.
Exactly. I understand half of these floorboards are fake and will lead to my death, like goddamn Squid Game. So I'm trying to step on the good glass.
Maybe you can even go as maybe they tried killing it, and something happened to where it was prevented.
Well, see, I think that's a mistake. At that point, you add an otherworldliness to it, like a kind of divine intervention thing at that point. And I think that's, I think it's a better idea that maybe this kid is the savior. And what does savior mean?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's a matter of perspective. If it's the champion of the worm, it has saved the worm by freeing it from the weaver's webs.
Mm-hmm.
Savior. Or it has helped the Gaians avert the apocalypse. Savior. So, one way or the other, it's a champion. Right?
Mm-hmm.
I think especially with the world of darkness, there needs to be that realm of, like Tom said, just kill it. And shoot yourself in the foot in such a spectacular fashion by doing so.
I got another foot.
I mean,
I guess I was thinking more of it was tried, and whatever was attempted, it was foiled by natural happenstance, or maybe somebody bumped into him and missed, and someone took that like, no, we can't let anything happen.
Well,
It was already prevented once, and Gaia wouldn't let it happen, and they take that superstition into it.
No, and that's a perfectly reasonable call. Look, we are talking about murdering a baby.
Trying to avoid saying stuff like that, but yes, you're right.
This is the conversation. Right
Yeah, I
now,
know.
is murdering a baby.
Yeah.
Or you go back to where Danny's saying, Metis is pregnant, you murder the mother.
You could. I mean, but in this scenario, the baby already exists.
Okay.
So, I mean, you open the book. The baby already happened.
Yeah, the baby
We're already here.
happened, yeah. It gives you options on who the parents are, if you want to do it that way. Maybe there were no parents, or
That
There-
doesn't
that-
work.
let me take it
stork, the little stork came and delivered it.
maybe you never met the parents. Maybe the parents
Well,
are
that would
already
make
gone at
sense.
this point. Well, yeah, because it starts off like it's a young woman who's protecting the cub, but she wasn't the mother, so maybe she saved the cub from being murdered, like the other two were.
A lot of mothers don't
possibly,
survive
or
the birth anyway.
It's true.
Possibly, I mean, they can. That's
I
why
mean,
They
yes,
can,
they
but
can,
they can,
but-
but a lot don't. and
Right.
the percentages
That's still a
aren't there.
Krynos baby crawling out of there.
but they say that it's possible.
Yeah,
They
well, no
give
one's
birth
saying it's
in
not
Krynos.
possible. We're saying that it's there's a high
You want to do a
fatality
Krynos
rate there.
C-section? Go ahead.
Because
There are
because
options,
it's claws
yes.
and fangs ripping its way out. Birth is already a thing.
We're going that conversation.
It's already
too,
like a
huh?
messy thing.
All right.
And like sometimes people die in childbirth,
Mm-hmm.
which sucks. I mean, it's terrible. But then like add claws and fangs and aggravated damage.
That you can't soak.
It's true. Because it's an inside. I don't know. I don't know a whole lot about
Yeah.
inside wounds. I know you treat them with alcohol normally, but this isn't that
Lots
kind
of alcohol.
Yeah, that's not the same type of thing.
Rubbing alcohol for the outside wounds, drinking
Drinking
alcohol for the inside wounds. It's science.
Yep. It's true.
Proven.
What have we gotten ourselves into? So,
Semantics. I mean, I'm still all for, even with what's said, I'm still all for killing it. It's a spit on Guy's face.
well, again, unless.
I don't see the unless.
Well, fine, but it's possible, is the point.
It's up to the storyteller. I think he's got it absolutely
And that's
convinced.
also why I said the storyteller, depending on how they weave the start of the tale, what we're doing, blah, 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 why this is happening, why I should be fighting for it. Depends on how that tale is obviously woven.
And I get that, and I mean, that's the kind of stuff we're here to talk about.
But from an outside point looking in right now, without getting deep into it just yet, I'm all for nah.
Nothing wrong with that side.
I just don't want that chance of, because how many Metis have fallen to the worm? Track record.
Well, and again, this is a special case.
Still track record.
That's fine. I'm saying this is a special case.
Mm-hmm.
That child was eventually going to grow up to be a huge factor in the middle of the apocalypse, either as Alexander Brightclaw or Alexander Blightclaw.
Nicely done.
Thank you. Depending on how
Right.
things turn out, where you leave that child. And then obviously, you're allowing for time to pass.
Sure.
In some of the other scenarios, I mean, there's a lot that is talked about and can be done with the Perfect Menace if you just pop open Apocalypse. The Apocalypse book presents a scenario where the Metis Child is 5 and is yet to have its first change. There's another, he has his first change in the custody of Gaians, and then escapes to go willingly to the worm to be sacrificed.
Willingly.
To bring about the apocalypse.
Shit.
Some scenarios have him dance the spiral, some have him become possessed by an avatar of the worm itself.
Holy hell.
There's a scenario where he gets rapidly aged and knocks up Zizak.
What?
True.
That doesn't make sense.
I mean, presumably knocks up. I mean, she shows up pregnant with him. We're presuming. I find that one least likely. Honestly. It's not even the aging thing.
How do you last that long?
I think she'd break
That's
that
what
guy.
she said.
I think she would destroy the Perfect, but that's just me.
That's what I was thinking. Like, there's no way he would have survived.
No, he'd put a hand on her and she would break every bone in his body. And that's just where my brain is.
Break every bone in your body just by looking at you.
You don't get much more hardcore than Zizak. I mean, that's bottom line. Very hard time believing she's going to go, you baby that just turned into a man. That's the one.
He's mine.
Especially when you factor in this is so not relevant. But, all the Garu that are supposed to take part of the apocalypse are already been born. Of course, Apocalypse is also the book that talks about how there have not been any Garu births since I think it was 1999 canonically, which coincides with Athelios.
Okay. So would that make this perfect menace the very last one born?
Theoretically.
You can write it that way if you want?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. I can see that. I mean, it's weird, but I can see it.
I mean, you're playing a werewolf. And I mean, I'm just saying that there's a level here.
Yeah, there's weird shit everywhere.
Yeah.
I get it. Yeah. All right, so we need to be convinced to do it. And let's say it happened. We were convinced.
Okay.
Are you okay with that part? I know you're so
you got to grant the premise.
I'm granting it.
Okay. Are you now being forced to, or are you electing to be
I'd be forced to.
the escorts?
I'd be forced to. I'm not helping raise it, but I'll do what I have to protect it.
I was thinking exactly the same. I won't be happy about it, but I'll do it because I was convinced and I was told.
Well, and I think you talk about protecting it. Your game can turn into a whole lot of different things. And we talked about this a bit in the White Howler episode.
Mm-hmm.
How these large events, if you will, like bringing the Howlers back, how that changes what the game is.
And I guess that's kind of why I'm afraid to go any farther than I am here. Because...
Well, we have to, because we have a show.
I get it. I mean, my point is, like, if I'm the one who's going to be protecting this thing, how long do I got to do that for? The game's
Your
no
life.
longer... Yeah. The game's no longer about anything else other than protecting this thing.
Well, and that's what we're here to talk about, how we do that. What are the different options? And I think probably, like for me, the one I would be most likely to do with a group who was protecting the cub.
Okay.
Starting with that, I wouldn't have the pack themselves do the day-to-day shit. You would leave the cub with trusted allies at a safe house or what have you. It would be, hey, this is too big for the two of us. Looking at you guys, right? So let's go to the Silver Star. Help. And Shalassi grabs the baby, and no one's going to hurt this baby. Look at this precious little cute thing. Because it's Shalassi, right? And so now they're involved.
Mm-hmm.
You can't stay at the cairn.
No. Because again, you have half and half.
Right? They know about it. And let's say we're not obviously going down that route, but obviously, yeah, there's going to be opinions on this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where's Whiplash at all times?
Oh, yeah. Probably try and eat it.
Where is Whiplash? Someone check the grill.
Sacrificing it to Boar.
Yeah, I don't see the baby. Check the grill of his boot. Where's Whiplash?
I'll be right back. I had to get some ranch.
Wow.
Yikes. Yikes. Dude, Thousand Island, get your head out of here.
All right. Where?
No. But obviously, so now it's, of course, the child's being hunted.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe there are losses. You're trying to protect this kid. You've got your allies. The allies are having losses because you can't be everywhere at once. So maybe that pack whittles down. And
we have
suddenly,
us, so we'll go with us.
Yeah,
us two. And then we have the Silver Star. So, yeah, and maybe...
Got to keep finding allies.
Yeah, because...
We got to build an army around this.
Some of the Silver Star starts dying off, trying to protect. One of us might die off trying to protect.
we don't want to adding a new character into this mess.
Face rolls happen, man.
But we don't want to... Yeah. Certainly, the possibility's there. Let's not overcomplicate it. Just for the sake of an example. But yeah, maybe the Silver Star loses a couple members. But, you find a safe house somewhere for now they can stop running and hold up for a while. So yeah, maybe you're dropping off supplies and stuff. Let's say Zan, Shal, and
Jamie.
Perfect. Jamie are watching the kid. You're still living your lives. You're still doing your thing. But at the same time, well, now we check on them every now and then.
I mean, at that point, I'd be looking for people to the cause.
And then who do you trust?
Yeah, I would say,
and that becomes part of it too.
Who do you tell that doesn't already know?
Well, plenty of people. Because we don't hire skywriters for Garu births. But, I mean, we'll get around eventually as time moves on, but when this thing breaks, there's not going to be a whole lot of people who know. Those may be spiritually inclined who are getting messages from somewhere, your prophets, your seers, certainly. But that thing starts small.
Yeah, well, they'll get ramped up pretty quickly, I imagine.
It could.
And how old is that child when it happens? How long are you doing this for? Because again, there's so many implications and so many possibilities here.
Doing that safe house idea grants you a long term while still having the game be about other things.
This is still where I have an issue, because his lives lost protecting something that could be some type of savior. But it's just more Garu lost that could be used for the apocalypse.
I think that's why it's going to be really difficult and really important for the storyteller to do the convincing. For whatever NPC, and that's why I mentioned
or
it
maybe
being a notable NPC.
Players are all for it. I mean, this is just us.
Yes.
Yeah, and then let me jump on that. Why do I have to convince you?
I meant one of the NPCs, or even a meta character. Maybe it's a meta character that's so notable that they're the ones who had to be the ones convincing.
Right, but what I'm saying is, why is a storyteller playing the NPCs? Is it my responsibility? I mean, certainly the NPCs will act how they would naturally react. You're playing and stuff, you know your characters, you know your NPCs. That should all take care of itself as long as you're doing your job right. But the story is your reaction.
True.
So if your reaction is to stomp the thing under your heel, fine. If your reaction is to protect it because this might be the thing that turns the tide, and maybe I'm wrong, but I can't afford to take that risk, fine.
That's why I like the second option. But if you go in the first one, he goes to stop it. Fine, if that's what you're... I'm willing to bet someone's going to try and stop you.
Maybe. But, maybe that...
The story's got a place to go. You can't just stop right there and then, all right.
Can't I? You ended that plot thread right there with a stomp. And maybe that just sealed the fate of the Garu Nation. Maybe you just murdered everyone by doing that. Or maybe you saved everyone. And you won't fucking know until the shoe drops.
Nicely done.
I like that.
Didn't mean to do that.
But that was perfect. I know. I like how it naturally happened.
Yeah. But there's the point.
Mm-hmm. I'm just thinking, if you have the story to tell, and but it's hard. It's hard to say because, again, it's all about how the players themselves are going to react.
Right. It's player agency.
This is way more difficult than I thought it was going to be today.
Why? Because I'm so naysaying it?
It's not that you're naysaying it. It's just there's too many possibilities.
Oh, I know.
Well,
and I still like going back on what makes that meta special compared to, Gogol. That could help change the tides. Gogol can do it.
Well, Gogol's not a Metis.
Yeah,
but you get what I'm saying.
No, I do, but
powers-wise and all of that, what a Garu can do, he's not going to be any different than somebody else.
How do you know that? Maybe he is.
Or Garu.
But
this is a Garu that shouldn't exist.
Exactly, so make it not exist.
You know what? I take it back. Maybe it is because you're so naysaying it right now. We can't even go any further because you were fucking naysaying.
No, we can go further.
You're no help at all.
I'm sorry.
Be open to the other possibilities here, Tom.
I don't like it.
I don't like it either, but that's why I'm saying I'd have to be really convinced. And then I would do it. And again, we went with, if you were writing it, what would you do? And you would make them the protectors. If we were to run this, that's how we're going to go.
Well,
we were convinced.
That's a way.
Mm-hmm.
What other ways could we go? Let me fucking hang in here, guys.
If you are the naysayers, you are trying to track it down. There's your story there. That's what I'm saying. If I'm a naysayer... Well, I figured that was obvious, but sorry. I mean, I'm the naysayer. I've been tasked with, this Metis Child's been born. It needs to be snuffed out. This should not be possible. There's your chronicle. Or more.
So you turn into a hunt for whoever's harboring the Metis Child.
Correct. That game, I'd do that one for sure.
All right, I'll play along with you. I'll go with you on this one.
I hope so.
Yeah,
you're part of the pack. If not, we're not a pack anymore.
I was going to say, maybe your differences split up your pack because of that.
That's possible. I mean, not ideal, because you got a game going.
Right.
But it's entirely possible.
Make two different games out of that? That would suck.
What if the custodians of the Metis Child, are allies? You keep with it. What if it's the Silver Star? What if it's the Rabies in Chains?
Easier to track. We know them.
Sure, but you see how we complicate things with that.
Oh, very much so.
You've got that extra layer here. Now there's the personal connections. It's the what do you do with your friends or the people you've looked up to or whatever when they're standing on the other side of that fence. And with something like the Metis Child, that the implication is so grand, it's akin to something we dealt with in our last chronicle, Shadows and Tall Trees, where can you afford to take the risk? I won't go further with that, but you both know what I'm fucking talking about.
Yeah, yes I do.
We might be wrong, but we can't...
Yeah.
Even if we're wrong, too bad, because we can't afford to take the possibility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was tough.
It was very difficult, yeah. Damn it. Oh, when you put it in that perspective.
Convince him with my claws.
And hope you're right.
Yeah. I mean, I'll never know. I probably won't even know in my lifetime. I'll probably die trying to do what I gotta do.
Oh, that's entirely possible. And, this is not the apocalypse episode.
Mm-hmm.
First of all, that book, there's just a lot. And that's not one episode.
Mm-hmm.
But one of the scenarios deals with, there are 3 sacrifices that must be made. One in the name of the triadic worm. And this is where we come back to the Metis Child being one of those sacrifices. And it brings up in that book, well, what if someone killed the child beforehand? And it's like, does it seal the fate? Or does the sacrifice now become the one who killed it? Because that was in the spirit of. So what happens then?
Way to throw a wrench in that one. That one's like pure speculation, though.
No, it is. And I mean, that's the thing, I mean, we talk about Apocalypse, and Apocalypse has a lot of potential scenarios. And that's good on Apocalypse for going, this isn't the one way. It's a book of ways that it could happen, not the way it does happen.
We're leaving it open for you. You decide.
I mean,
here's some possibilities on how you want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, there's the novels, which have their version, but again, I think ignore it, because make your own. But clearly the Metis Child is a part of that.
Oh, very much. And
using it becomes a delicate issue, because again, it's game-changing, no matter what.
You're bringing in one of the biggest plot points, so...
Right. And if you're going to deal with it, you have to deal with it. Whether it's a safe house thing, or you're chasing after whoever it is that is currently guarding it, or it was stolen. You go to that safe house one day, and everyone's...
Black Spirals took it.
Yep, everyone's dead. So now you have to get the cub back before, it gets old enough and they make it dance the spiral. And it's definitely going to be an agent of the worm. Now, there's no question.
White Claw.
Right? Break Claw.
And that's if those spirals are the ones who were trying to protect it.
Right. Maybe they want to kill it. Maybe they want it for a sacrifice.
Bringing up the Black Spirals taking it, think about it this way. You got Black Spirals that want to keep it alive. Granted, they want it, end goal is to get to do the dance, but you ally with Black Spirals. This is a good way to tie in somebody playing some Black Spirals.
Which isn't normally something I would endorse by any stretch of the imagination, but you're right. It's the enemy of my enemy.
Right.
At that point.
Here's some unsavory allies, but they'd be allies on keeping it alive. And then obviously, end goal, you'd have to kill them, but...
And at that point, it's any port in the storm. Something that big with that many implications. And I mean, they bring it up. I mean, they talk about in Rage Heavens the certain factions that are aware of the Metis Child. And there's pro-cub, there's anti-cub. It's the Hive of the Worm's Eye.
And that's like I don't want to say a camp, but it was like
it's a hive.
It's just a hive.
They think they believe that the Metis-born cub signals the impending apocalypse. So, yeah, they have a vested interest in keeping that kid alive and well. You don't have to believe the same thing. If you guys are holding that child thinking it's going to be, you need to keep it alive so it can help save the day. And, they want it because they think it's going to help them save the day.
Yeah, your saving might be completely different than them saving, but
saving's implied.
Everybody wants the cub alive here.
Right.
So like I said, you get allies in weird places, but this is a good way you can tie in playing Black Spirals for a couple chapters.
If you really want to.
I know there's people out there that want to, so I mean, this is a good story hook.
It's true. And then, at that point you can have some fun with how far do we trust these allies? How slippery is this slope?
I was thinking that. I was absolutely thinking that. Maybe some of those spirals are not who they say they are. They're the ones who want it dead.
Maybe.
But they saying they're going to help you keep it alive.
Your friend's close, but your enemy's closer.
Well, and even then, yeah, no, we're going to keep you safe. And they will. They'll be true to their word, so long as. But maybe, hey, it's like, we'll get you on our side slowly corrupt you in the process.
Right?
Jesus.
That could happen too.
Yeah.
That's fucked up.
But now here's one. Let's take the assumption that the Metis Child is a positive force, or has the potential to be. It's in Gaian hands. It's being raised by whatever cairn is going to keep him protected, or, what have you. Speculation, what tribe would you put if you're in charge of this?
Mm-hmm.
What tribe is your Metis Child?
Oh, Jesus. If I had to pick right now,
Yeah.
I would say Children Gaia.
Why?
Kind of where I was leaning.
Why, gentlemen?
Oh, boy. I don't think any other totem would absolutely 100% believe that this is a good thing.
Okay.
Tribal aspects, the way they treat Metis, they would be more into letting this one in.
That too.
See, I'm going to go a different way from you guys. Say Silver Fang.
Fine.
That we
Elaborate.
assume- I'm about to.
Well, you left a big pause there.
Yeah, you know how I do. We assume that this child, again, is Gaian in intent, a positive force for the Gaia Nation. What better way to restore honor and dignity to the Silver Fangs than for this to be Falcon's chosen?
What about a Shadow Lord?
That's possible too.
Because the Margrave would be all over that.
Well, the Margrave would be, but ultimately it would be up to the totem to accept. So I think, well, what if, because we know how disgraced the Silver Fangs are, with the derangement and the questionable track record. Okay, we'll say that. There's not a whole lot of faith in Silver Fang leadership, and certainly Albrecht has done something to repair some of that, at least in the Americas. But overall, to wipe the stain of the past away from the Silver Fangs, what if this child, this child of light, if you will, is embraced by Falcon and becomes the leader of the nation that the Silver Fangs are supposed to be?
Damn. Oh, man, that's...
It breeds a little bit more connection into Helios, too.
There you go.
Yeah, maybe that's what...
The camp of the sun, whatever. I can't remember the name.
If it is Gaian in nature, it's got to find a tribe. And I mean, there's plenty to choose from, but...
It still comes down to the totem.
True. And what it means for the greater good. And I don't think there's a bad answer.
No, of course, there's not bad answers. I just think what's more logical. And that's why I was thinking Children of Gaia. They don't care that it's Metis. They're open arms at this point. They're going to take anybody. You know what I mean? Like,
No, you're not wrong.
I don't see Fenris going around. There's my mighty warrior.
Well, except if this cub is prophesied to be that mighty warrior.
It could be.
And I mean, that's the point here.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Maybe it is a champion of Fenris. Maybe it's Beowulf Part 2.
I mean, Bonar could definitely work, too.
Yeah. Now, I certainly think that a Bonar sept or a Child of Gaia sept would be ideal for harboring the child.
Yeah, that's where I was thinking.
Yeah, and I think
harboring.
There was definitely a factor of me picking what I picked.
Where, I certainly wouldn't put that child in a Shadow Lord sept, for example.
No.
Because it's guaranteed that someone is going to want to manipulate the
Same
child.
with a Get sept. Something's going to happen there.
But see, I don't know. Something...
The power struggles. There's going to be...
I think there's a high likelihood of the child being assassinated in a Get sept.
That's where I'm getting at.
Because somebody is going to go, damn the rules, this will take 30 seconds, I'll deal with the consequences. Because I believe that strongly. And I think you can get Gaur from every tribe that would feel that way.
Oh, yeah.
But, again, I think if there's a tribe that's going to be stalwart and I'll take the consequences, this is for the best, it's going to be a Get of Fenris.
Mm-hmm.
Where, yeah.
Do the action, ask for forgiveness later.
Right? Like, I wouldn't put this child with the Margrave. And it's not that the Margrave isn't a force of good, ultimately, in the nation, but it's going to grow up under someone's agenda.
All right, well, let's go with your idea then. Let's go with Silver Fang.
Okay.
It's going to be grown up. It's prophesized to be grown up to be the ultimate leader.
Maybe that's just how that shakes out. I think it's a good situation where you could get away with doing a time jump.
Oh, easy.
Do 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, they've been harboring and keeping it alive for so long, and they found a safe house. And
the point here is that now it's a child with a personality. Because here's the thing. Babies ruin everything.
That's something to endorse.
No, I mean when we talk about our fiction, okay, you look at television, and I think television is the best example.
Okay.
Is when you introduce a baby into a show.
This show is no longer about the personalities of those characters. It's about them as parents.
Right. The baby becomes such a factor, and the baby isn't a character.
Right.
It's a thing that makes noise and has to be tended to. It doesn't have a personality. Its personality is crying.
Eating and pooping
Right.
and sleeping.
So if you do this time jump, now it's, like an 8-year-old boy, for example.
Yeah, raised and trained in the nation.
Right? So now it can have a personality, and you can become attached to this little character, this little guy, as opposed to, and you just want to throw it. Yeah. It's not a burden anymore.
Touchdown.
You can only do 3 men and a baby as a story for so long before everyone's angry.
Right. Oh, he's crying again. Go feed him.
This is my escapism. This is what I want to do to relax and unwind from real life, is tend to a fictional baby.
It's play real life.
You're right. So, I think, again, when you're doing with that Metis Child, if you're going to add it to the game, maybe find a way to do a time jump. And now you're meeting this kid who is learning, how to duel with, a wooden clave, and learning the litany and questioning shit. And maybe there's something, there should be something off about him. Because as a storyteller, you don't want to tip the hand. We're talking about it, oh no, it's going to be the savior. But the storyteller should never tip the hand about this. It's entirely possible, maybe, that this kid gets a little older, he has his first change. 8 is possible for a Metis. 5's a little early, but is also possible. And now is part of the nation, and there's all this thought and belief and pressure under this kid. And then maybe he's fated to fall to the worm because of it.
So you have little subtle hints that maybe he's not so Gaian after
Learning
all.
the litany, and he's questioning, why did we kill the worm? Little things, show.
Just to plant little seeds of doubt, regardless of the storyteller's intent. Keep them guessing.
Okay. I can see that. Yeah, he questions a little too much. Why did we do it this way? And maybe he's not even a Ragabash.
It doesn't matter, Auspice, at that point. He's just questioning because he's going to have a voice. He's learning the nations.
Right? Maybe they put all this faith in him. It's closer to the end times, where the end times is, again, a long, strung-out thing and not just a wham-bam kind of event.
You're getting raised on this pedestal.
Yeah, the pressures of that. We're counting on you. What's your plan for this?
You're saying that to an 8-year-old.
Right. And sure, he's been trained in all this shit. But the practical application, the insecurity that comes from that. What if the plan goes wrong and people start to turn on him?
Oh, I even think of it like you're training him combat-wise. And even though you've been training him for so long, he still sucks at it. What the fuck? This is supposed to be our mighty warrior. Why can't he do this?
Right.
How many times do I gotta fucking show you how to do this?
And you play in the innocent mind of a child, too.
Absolutely. There's a lot you can do. Either way you look at it. Forbid you leave him at a hive for safekeeping. You go that route. And you watch as he slowly fades away. You have this bright young kid who is being all corrupted and pet cemeteried up, if you will, living in the hive. Because obviously...
Oh, yeah, because of the surroundings.
Yeah. They're going to want to push him that way.
And just being in the hive's already going to taint him, so...
Right?
That's a scary thought, too, yeah. Either way, it's like, it doesn't matter which end of that spectrum you're going to put it on, it's a scary thought.
It is. Or, we look at what you talked earlier, Tom, the convince me, what does it do? Maybe the Metis Child is destined to destroy the talons of the worm. We have the prophecy that Zizek will kill, quote, the last Gaian king. So there's this scenario where she just rips Albrecht apart. Because, again, it's Zizek, and what do you expect? But
what if it wasn't Albrecht, though? What if it ends up being this
what if
child?
the Metis Child is the last Gaian king? Again, with the Silver Fang.
Yeah, I was going to say, if we go with the Silver Fang idea, maybe they're thinking he will be king, we need to protect him.
Right? And, maybe that prophecy doesn't come for another 20 years. Here's one for you. I know there are changes coming in Werewolf 5, but what if that's the scenario canonically? is that the Metis Child does become, quote, the last Gaian king. And in that 20-year gap of canon, who knows?
There's a lot of possibility, especially if you're going with the future speculation here. Does that mean that maybe that's why there's no more Metis kind of thing?
It becomes...
Right, it's speculation.
Yeah.
We don't know.
But it allows for that possibility.
I can see that being a thing. As long as they've saved this kid and he's still alive now, there's no more Metis.
Of course, I mean, there's the other implication behind that too, but...
Yeah,
I mean, look, we are talking about a 20-year or so gap in canon. There's room for that child to have grown up, and Alexander Brightclaw, if you will, to become somebody.
Or Blightclaw.
Yes.
I like that.
Maybe...
It just works out, doesn't it?
It does. It works out a little too well.
It's well done, dude. Well
Thank
done.
you.
What if he's the one that takes out Zizek? And if essentially takes over that spot?
It could be. I point back to the idea where he knocks her up, but see, I have a problem with that though, because
She's too much of a meta character and too powerful.
Well, that yes,
Mm-hmm.
but also because again we've been told more than once that every Garu who is relevant to the apocalypse has already been born. So her showing up pregnant is pointless.
Ah, yes. Good point.
Well, she's pregnant. Well, so what? The world's over before she comes to term, or it's not going to be a
Or
factor.
it's still an infant and not going to factor in.
Yeah, like everyone's here already.
Well, what kind of other situations or even scenarios could we put in there?
Well, how about, again, we'll go with the Gaian thing, but the in Gaian custody, but a servant perhaps of the proper balance worm, which would make it kind of alien to both sides, but the idea that the child would reject the Gaian teachings, either for the corruptor or the balance worm, either way. But imagine a scenario, right, where the kid is being held in your home sept.
Okay.
This is our future. We're going to raise it right, and it's going to be our savior, blah, 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 blah. A few years have passed. Again, we do the small child, but cognizant scenario, and it runs away.
Oh, shit. I didn't think about it that way.
Rejects, or is swayed, perhaps, by a spiral on the sly, by an infiltrator into the sept, by someone who perhaps believes that he's the enemy and tries to lure him out and kill him, and then it makes whiplash. One day takes him out in the woods to put a knife through the back of his skull. And the kid gets wise and runs away, and now doesn't trust anyone in the sept, and is then seduced by the worm.
Yes.
And so now you get a scenario, and I hate to draw this parallel, because gross, but like an Obi-Wan Anakin sort of thing, where you guys who have been instrumental in this kid's life, and because
all it took was one wrong move.
Right, because of the actions of a third party.
I get why you don't want to make the parallel, but you can't. It's so difficult to miss.
That is the parallel.
Yeah.
That's a night and day parallel right there.
Especially if he's the one that, if that's how you wrote it, was he ends up being the warrior of the apocalypse to bring the apocalypse.
What if, and now we're going to my fucking headcanon.
Please.
What if, again, I go back to the balance worm, what if he, for however, Deus Ex Machina, whatever, is able to free and cleanse the balance worm? Again, we go back to the husk thing. But like he is the key of freeing the balance worm.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's super alien of a concept, so he should be somewhere in between. What if he goes and ends up in the clutches of the spirals and goes to the Temple Obscura and dances to the 9th or 10th layer or 11th and comes out fucking fine?
Holy shit, oh, damn it.
Was that supposed to scare me? That's what he walks out as.
Right.
I'm seeing it in your head, yes.
That's a weird spiral name.
That's what they would probably say.
Yeah, exactly. That's the first stuff out of his mouth.
Yeah, it comes out and they're wondering what his name is. He goes, what was that supposed to be?
Can we get a sandwich?
Can I get a sandwich?
I'm parched.
I'm starving. Off round of the Black Spiral Dancer.
You would be hungry.
We were some Jimmy John's.
Did they deliver to Melfi's?
But yeah, he comes out just unscathed.
And not only that, uncorrupted.
Exactly.
Oh.
Because he is the true agent of the worm of balance, set to set things right. And again, we know my personal headcanon and my fucking crazy shit. The worm sheds its skin. And is weak as shit now, so now the Gyro Nation have to contend with dealing with the fact that the worm is no longer crazy and is super weak. And so it has to be protected just like the wild. Meanwhile, the skin that it shed, which is the Hydra in the urges, still exists as, quote, the husk. Same as it ever was, but new complication. Meanwhile, you got the Black Spirals who split in half. Those who serve the husk, those who are going to defend the worm of balance, sort of creates an extra faction in there, because who do you trust? How do you believe it?
And Melfi's would just be ripped in half at that point.
Right? Like, how do you think about this? Is the Gyro Nation, is a Gyro, right? Is your characters. This big event happens. How do you just believe that it's okay now and that the worm is no longer the threat? Right? How do you tell Gogol Fangs first that the worm is no longer the enemy?
You don't. There's no way you convince someone like that.
To, right?
I don't see.
He's not going to believe you ever.
Probably not, but there you go.
You might convince others, but I don't see someone like Gogol being convinced.
I mean, I would make the argument that, while I don't necessarily think you're wrong, but devil's advocate, that maybe he doesn't care on a practical level, whether we call the enemy the husk or the worm.
Yeah, I still have a war to
That's
win.
still a psychomancy.
Cool story, bro. Can I go kill that thing now?
Right. Practically, maybe he doesn't care what we call it.
Fair.
That is still the enemy. That still stinks of what I called worm taint yesterday. You can call it husk taint today, but it's still the fucking enemy, so I don't care about your bullshit behind the scenes.
Solid point. Solid point.
But I mean, that's just spitballing.
But that's Gogol, though.
Right. I shot high on that one.
He comes up a lot.
He is rank 6.
I was going to say he's rank 6 guy, so
yeah. And,
he's got shit to do.
He's doing it.
right?
Stop bothering him with this shit. Just leave him out of it. Let him keep warring down there.
But I mean, there's an example. And I mean, at that point, I'm offering an apocalypse scenario that has the benefit of altering things on that kind of level.
And keeping the game going.
Yes, while not destroying the game.
Because other scenarios, they're possible apocalypse ones, it just ends no matter what the outcome.
Right, like likely the worm gets free and devours everything. Which, why I make the separation between the two, because if it sheds its skin, it's now too weak to devour everything.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to start doing its proper duty again, which is great. But the husk still wants to corrupt everything.
No, I get it, and that's why I like that theory. That's a fun one. So what other kind of scenarios can we throw at someone who's... No, I guess we'll go with protecting that child, even after we've done this time jump.
Well, I mean, you still have the same issues in terms of the spirals, your different factions going after it. But in what way? I mean, do we do like a nomad thing? Again, kind of like a lone wolf and cub, where you in whatever safe house or caravan of whatever sept is protecting it is always on the move. You have infighting. You have betrayals of the potential of it. I think there's a lot you can do there. And what we haven't talked about is the Weaver.
Oh, shit. Yeah, how does she feel about that?
Probably not great. But yeah, how does the Weaver factor into all of this? Now, if I'm the Weaver, beep bop boob, zeros, I can't count past 99, Y2K. Don't know what a 2 looks like. This is a threat to me no matter what.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely is a threat.
Right? Guy in worm doesn't matter. This is a problem no matter what.
And she's sending everything after it.
All hands on deck.
Oh, boy.
Oh.
Way to just throw that giant wrench into that. I didn't even
Right.
think about that.
I'm having drones hack satellite feeds to find every cairn I possibly can on the planet.
Yep.
I'm
To see where
dropping
the fuck
tungsten
this
rods
character
from a
is.
satellite. Because if this thing is allowed to exist for like another 20 minutes, it is a threat to everything I got going on.
I see that happening 100%. I
Right?
didn't even think about the Weaver.
And then we go back to something I brought up a couple episodes ago, the idea of the Weaver taking over some Garu. Let's, for lack of a better term, possess.
Okay.
For lack of a better term.
I know what you, yeah.
As many Garu as I can to work them on the inside.
Holy shit.
I make a
Jesus.
spiritual computer virus to infect the glass walkers and send them sept to sept to find out where this little shit is so I can put a stop to it.
And the whole time, they're...
Whether they know it or not.
Yeah. Well, not only know it or not, but like maybe they're different packs and stuff. They're trying like, hey, we're here to help. We want to help protect. And it's just a spy.
Yeah. And again, whether they know it or not, maybe they're not aware of what it is, and all of a sudden the switch flips. And now, Jess Weaver.
FIFO fun.
Then that's one of the reasons why I didn't even consider Glasswalkers being one of the tribes that this kid...
Too close to the Weaver.
Yeah. So what if?
I like that one. That one's good.
And since we're talking Weaver...
Sure.
What if this thing is wild aligned? Remember, Gaia is not the... I mean, I know you guys know that.
Mm-hmm.
Gaia is not the wild. What if this thing is wild aligned? It grows up and becomes this total agent of fucking chaos to break the dam holding back the wild's fury.
Well, that's an even bigger problem.
In a roundabout way.
I kind of like that better.
But, you know, I mean, think about it. We've been talking this whole fucking show. Is it Gaian? Or is it of the worm? Why were these the only choices?
What if it's of all three?
A child of the triad. Again, which would be there to bring back balance.
Right. Just getting matrixy.
Whoa.
There's so much to think about.
It's endless possibilities, and it's kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
Hence the loose concept in the book.
Right? And I think with Werewolf 5 eventually happening, it seems like there are plans. It's like a soft reboot. This is what it seems like. You know, maybe it's time to play with those apocalyptic ideas.
I can see why you think of that. It's like it's kind of unfortunate because the way the game's going and everything, but...
Well, I mean, you can always restart, but I mean, if they're going to soft reboot the game anyway, maybe you write an end and walk into W5 as its own brand new thing.
Fresh start.
Treat it as a whole new game.
Which, and at this point, it sounds like it's going to be.
I just wish they would call it
a different game.
Werewolf Dying Light or something like that.
Which, it's a cool name. It's a good idea, and you should use that.
I think it would do a lot to soften some of the criticism, because at that point it's a new game and not a new edition of an existing game. But either way, maybe these are some scenarios. Maybe you close one chapter before you open another one. I don't know. It's what gave me the idea for the episode.
And I get it, and it's awesome. So let's, real quick at this point.
Okay.
From the beginning, this child's born. In your head, how are you writing this game? Are you going to be writing it so our characters are going to be the protectors?
Well, I mean, that wouldn't be up to me.
We said yes.
Okay.
We were
just
convinced.
Whatever I want, then?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I would run again with the apocalypse not being a certain big moment, but a time, if you will.
Yeah.
I think you guys would be a part of the sept that is, in fact, protecting this child.
Okay. Doing
the time jump, let it grow a bit again, so you give it personality, and you get attached to it, and then at that point, letting your guys' actions or inactions dictate which direction that child goes.
Okay.
Not that I would tell you.
Right. But knowing how we play our characters and knowing us as friends, how does that work out?
I don't know.
Just off the top of your head kind of thing? And
I think at one point, something happens and it spooks Whiplash.
Okay.
And he gets it in his head, him and Butcher's in the shadows, get it in their head that this kid has to go away. And Jaeger won't stop him. And I think that the kid will get away and that he becomes an enemy. That it would be up to you two, theoretically, to go and bring him back, and ultimately you would fail. Whether that means the cub dies in the process or not, I'm not sure. You're just asking me right now.
Yeah.
But I think that's what happens.
How do you feel with that one, Tom?
That sounds like something you'd do.
You're right. That's why I'm curious of what you would think. Maybe you're protecting, and
I'd probably help him get away.
That's exactly what I was thinking. Like, maybe I was allowing Whiplash to do this, and you saw it, so you went and helped him get away.
I wouldn't doubt I would.
And see, to add that scenario, I would probably do something really shitty. Like, you shoot an arrow at Butcher's in the shadows who's coming down on that kid, and you miss and hit the kid in the arm. So he thinks you shot him on purpose.
You would do that.
Of course I would.
Of course you would do that.
Of course I would.
He could never let us have the day.
Of course not. That's not how he writes.
Wins and losses, man. Ebbs and flows.
There's no wins. It's all losses.
Yeah, well, it's the world of darkness. It's the apocalypse.
Hey, there are occasional wins. Usually it's breaking even.
If you're lucky, it's breaking even.
Usually it's breaking even.
I like that. That's craziness. And that would suck if it ever comes to fruition.
You never know. Like, I have no plans to run an apocalypse game, but I've had a lot of fun talking about this.
Yeah.
So,
I want just desserts first.
you'll get it.
Good.
Do something really crazy. It'll be great. And foreshadow that maybe it's going to come true the entire time.
That's always fun.
Can be.
It's going to hurt my head.
Always. Regular stories hurt your head.
You're right.
But I believe that is about time for us.
There's enough speculating for today.
I think so.
Yeah, my head hurts just speculating.
Right? Let's get
It's
some...
just far too many possibilities.
And,
I'm still on the naysay bus, but
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, there's nothing wrong. And again, this, you said it, you don't like book games. But this one is so open-ended on multiple scenarios, on multiple time jumps, on multiple points in this kid's life that
we
who
could
the
sit here
hell
and
knows?
speculate probably all day. Just little tidbits of this kid's life. We could go this way with it. Well, you go that way with it. I mean, you could sit here all day.
And that's why I
true.
said even if a storyteller is going to run that game multiple times, that will still never be the same twice.
No.
No, you're right. I mean, look, again, I'm not a huge fan of book games. And, in our Ethereal Realm episode, I had some shit to say about how that book is laid out, about Rage Heavens. But I think, I really appreciate how they laid out the Anthelios scenario here. The freedom it gives, but hitting all the important parts, I think it's a good thing. Credit where it's due.
Agreed. So, yeah, that's our time, and I guess little final thoughts on that. So,
I think we just...
that was it.
Yeah,
those were our
that
final
just
thoughts
happened.
on it, yes.
Wow.
So, on behalf of everyone here at Scratch Wolf Studio, Mr. Danny Tyson, Mr. Tommy Dixon, and myself, we want to thank you for listening. We want you to take care of yourselves, take care of each other, keep your butt sharp, and head on swivel.